Have you ever wondered if history could have played out differently? A single day, a single decision, a single battle can create a ripple effect that reshapes the world as we know it. Today, we're journeying back in time to explore three monumental clashes from the ancient world. These aren't just any battles, these are the turning points, the moments where the future hung precariously in the balance. If the outcomes had been reversed, our world today might be completely unrecognizable. So, buckle up as we dive into the ancient battles that could have changed everything. Our first stop is the year 480 BC at a narrow coastal pass in Greece known as Thermopylae. On one side, a massive Persian army led by King Xerxes determined to conquer all of Greece. On the other, a tiny, determined force of Greeks famously led by 300 Spartans under King Leonidas. The conventional story is a heroic last stand, a sacrifice that bought precious time for the rest of Greece to rally and eventually defeat the invaders. But what if the Greeks had won at Thermopylae? Let's imagine a scenario. What if the Greek informant Ephialtes had never betrayed the secret path, or if the Spartans had successfully repelled the elite Persian immortals who used it to flank them? A decisive Greek victory at Thermopylae, even a successful containment, would have been a catastrophic blow to Persian morale and logistics. Xerxes' army was enormous and relied on a fragile supply line. A major setback at the very gateway to central Greece could have forced a retreat. If Persia had been repelled so early, the subsequent golden age of Athens might have been even more brilliant, or perhaps it wouldn't have happened at all. The sense of unity forged in the face of a common enemy was a powerful catalyst for Greek culture. Without the legendary sacrifice of Thermopylae and the eventual triumph at Salamis and Plataea, would democracy, philosophy, and theater have flourished in the same way? The Western world as we know it is built on the intellectual foundations laid by classical Greece. A Persian victory, or even a different kind of Greek victory, could have altered that foundation entirely. A Persian-dominated Greece might have stifled the very ideas of individual liberty and democratic governance that originated there, sending the world down a path of imperial rule rather than citizen-led states. The ripple effects are staggering to consider. Now, let's fast forward a couple of centuries to 200 BC. On the plains of Zama in modern-day Tunisia. This is the final showdown of the Second Punic War, a conflict that had raged for nearly 2 decades. Two of history's greatest generals faced each other, the brilliant Carthaginian Hannibal Barca and the formidable Roman Scipio Africanus. Hannibal had terrorized Italy for years, famously crossing the Alps with elephants and winning stunning victories. But at Zama, Scipio's innovative tactics, particularly how he neutralized Hannibal's war elephants and the superiority of his cavalry, led to a decisive Roman victory. Rome crushed Carthage, ending its rival's power forever. But what if Hannibal had won at Zama? Imagine his veteran army, hardened by years of war in Italy, managing to break the Roman lines. A victory for Carthage on its home turf would have been earth-shattering. Rome, already exhausted by the long war, might have been forced to sue for a peace that left Carthage as the dominant power in the western Mediterranean. Hannibal could have dismantled Rome's network of alliances and confined its influence to the Italian peninsula. A world dominated by Carthage would have been profoundly different. Carthaginian culture was a Semitic, Phoenician-derived civilization focused on maritime trade, not land-based expansion and assimilation like Rome. Latin might never have become the lingua franca of Europe, the basis for Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. Roman law, a cornerstone of many modern legal systems, might have remained a local curiosity. Instead of the Roman Empire, we might speak of a Carthaginian thalassocracy, a maritime empire controlling the seas. This wouldn't just be a different empire with a different name. It would be a fundamental shift in the cultural, linguistic, and legal DNA of Western civilization. The rise of Christianity, which spread so effectively along Roman roads and within its stable political structure, might have followed a completely different and perhaps far more difficult trajectory. Our final stop takes us to the year 451 AD, to the Catalonian plains in what is now France. This was a battle of epic proportions, a clash of civilizations. On one side, Attila the Hun, the scourge of God, leading a vast confederation of Huns and subjugated Germanic tribes. On the other, a fragile alliance of the Western Roman Empire, led by General Idius, and the Visigoths, led by their king, Theodoric I. The battle was brutal, chaotic, and incredibly bloody. Theodoric was killed, but in the end, the Roman-Visigoth coalition managed to halt Attila's advance into Gaul. Though tactically inconclusive, it was a strategic victory for the Allies. Attila's aura of invincibility was broken, and his empire began to crumble after his death 2 years later. Now, let's flip the script. What if Attila had shattered the coalition? A decisive Hunnic victory would have been cataclysmic. Edis's army was one of the last effective military forces the Western Roman Empire possessed. Its destruction would have left Gaul and Italy completely defenseless. Attila could have sacked Rome with impunity, not just negotiating its ransom as he did later, but utterly destroying it. The political and social structures of Western Europe, already fragile, would have completely disintegrated. The Huns were not nation builders like the Romans. Their empire was a mobile, predatory entity held together by the force of Attila's personality. A Hunnic-dominated Europe might not have seen the rise of the successor kingdoms, the Franks, the Visigoths, the Anglo-Saxons that eventually formed the basis of modern European nations. The Catholic Church, based in Rome, might have been scattered, its centralizing influence lost. The so-called Dark Ages could have been darker and lasted much longer, a prolonged period of chaos without the lingering structures of Roman civilization to build upon. The emergence of figures like Charlemagne and the very idea of a unified Christendom might have been impossible. The world that emerged from the ashes of Rome might have been a completely different one, shaped by nomadic steppe traditions rather than Greco-Roman and Christian heritage. From Thermopylae to Zama to the Catalonian plains, history balanced on a knife's edge. These battles weren't just about territory. They were about ideology, culture, and the very blueprint of the future. A different outcome in any one of them could have sent our timeline spiraling in a new direction. It's a powerful reminder that the world we live in wasn't inevitable. It was forged in the heat of battle, shaped by courage, genius, and sometimes just plain luck. What do you think? Which of these battles do you believe would have had the biggest impact if it had gone the other way? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history's great what-ifs, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.